8th grade. Welcome back to Social Studies. So today we're going to go over the presidency of John Adams. As you can see, he served from 1797 to 1801. So there were some important acts that were ratified into law during his presidency. So the first one was the Naturalization Act. Essentially, this increased the number of years to qualify for U.S. citizenship from 5 to 14. And this act actually hurt the Democratic Republican Party because immigrants tended to vote for a Democratic Republican candidate. So, for example, say Joe Biden was president and he decided to close the Mexican border. So that will not be very advantageous of him because predominantly speaking, statistically speaking, most immigrants tend to vote Democratic. All right. So the next act that was enacted was the Alien and Sedition Act. And the Alien Act actually authorized the president to deport any aliens considered dangerous and to detain enemy citizens in time of war, while the Sedition Act made it illegal for newspaper editors to criticize either the president or Congress and impose heavy penalties such as fined or imprisoned for editors who violated the law. So as you can see, the Sedition Act kind of violates what amendment? The First Amendment, like the freedom of speech. But we will learn, and you will learn in high school, that there's this thing called hate speech or slander or libel that kind of fits into this Sedition Act here. So the next one was the XYZ affair. So this was essentially where U.S. merchant ships, and we know merchant ships had to do with like trade or commerce, were being seized by French warships and privateers. They were seeking peace, but Adams sent a delegation to Paris to negotiate a treaty. The French ministers, known as XYZ, so their names were not revealed, so that's why I call XYZ, requested bribes before they would enter into negotiations. So the U.S. delegates refused and they went home. And Americans wanted to go to war with France because of this insult. Like they felt they were being violated, or they felt this was a abuse of power. And Adams opposed going to war with France and kept the U.S. out of European wars. So Adams wanted to make it be anti-war because we had just got done with Revolutionary War and all the other wars, and which led us to the events leading us up to independence. So there were some resolutions. So there's Kentucky and Virginia Resolution, written by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. We all know those fellows. And it basically states had entered into a compact, and if any act of the federal government broke this compact, a state could nullify the federal law. So nullify just means like make it obsolete, make it no longer in that aspect. So we all know Thomas Jefferson was, both of these presidents were actually from Virginia. It was written because Republicans believe the Alien Sedition Acts violated rights guaranteed by the First Amendment. I just said that to you earlier. And at this time, the Supreme Court did not have power to declare laws unconstitutional. So this is pre-Marbury v. Madison. I'm really excited to get started with that. We'll start on that next week. But you will learn that Supreme Court pre-Kentucky, Virginia resolutions did not give the Supreme Court power to make laws unconstitutional. So the crisis will soon fade because Federalists lose majority in Congress, and Supreme Court will gain the power to declare a law unconstitutional through Marbury v. Madison. So now comes the election of 1800. So Federalists on this side, we have John Adams representing the Federalist Party versus Democratic Republicans Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr I already told you the fate between these two fellows, between Jefferson and Aaron Burr, but we'll move on here. So, Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr is a toss-up. It's a shootout, no pun intended, between these two. And the Electoral College is split between Jefferson and Burr, so the vote went to the House of Representatives. So, it's kind of different how a president is elected now than how it was then. But the vote goes to various parts of what branch of government. It should have been the legislative branch. And Alexander Hamilton convinced his supporters in the House to vote for Jefferson, not Burr. So Hamilton was very pro-Jefferson, rightfully so, because they kind of worked together to gain independence with the United States. All right. And the winner, Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson then becomes the third president of the United States. And then because of that, because Aaron Burr got the second highest votes, Aaron Burr becomes vice president. So after every election, there seems to be conflict between government or whatever. There always to be some type of revolution. So the Revolution of 1800. So election of 1800 is called the Revolution of 1800 because it was a peaceful transfer of power from the Federalists to the Democratic Republicans, which is good. We always like that transfer, the peaceful transfer of power when we go from one presidency to the other. That was very true from, Bush to Obama and Obama to Trump. So it's always good to maintain that transfer of power just for the good of the people and the strength of the country. And then this indicated the U.S. constitutional system would endure. So when you see this transfer of power from one political party to another or one presidency to another, you can see that the Constitution is well displayed in this aspect. So that concludes the presidency of John Adams. We will get into the presidency of Thomas Jefferson. So stay tuned for that. And then if you have any questions, please let me know and I'll be happy to help you. Bye.